Welcome to H2K Infosys. H2K Infosys is a e-verify business based in Atlanta, Georgia, United States. We provide 100% job-oriented, instructor-led, face-to-face, true live online software training programs. It also includes access to cloud test lab with software tools. We provide live project for you to work on. We also provide assistance with mock interviews, resume preparation and review, and job placement assistance. H2K Infosys is trusted by so many students across the world. H2K Infosys provides world-class services in IT training with real-time project work for corporates and individuals, special IT training for MS students in the United States, software design, development, QA manual and automation, performance testing and maintenance, IT staff augmentation, job placement assistance, and tech support.
Status ID. Yeah, that's right, because we have foreign key there.
Yes. If there is no data for it, we won't be able to get it, right? So when I change something, right? Here I have changed, let's say, an employee with ID 3. This data I have modified the first name, right? So when I update it and update the persisted object and I plus the session, this is updated here, right? You see, previously it was some different value, right? So let's say if I do it one more time, right? I have just retrieved the value and let's say I'm saying it to a different name, right? ID is equal to 3. We have seen here as Manoj right now, right? So if you just fetch the data here, right? I just fetch the data and in the persisted object, I'm saying the employee as session. Here, I'm getting only one employee because I'm saying where ID is equal to 3. So when I execute this, folks, here the first name is getting updated to which is in the database. See here, because after I fetch, I'm modifying some data and I flush it to the session. Right? When it says session.flush, it saves that changes, it goes to the database.
So when this is in a database, it's known as persisted or what?
Sorry?
If it's in a session, it's transient, right? When it's going to database, it's
no,
persistent?
Before, see, no. When we just have an object, it's no way associated with the session. It is a transient object. But we are fetching this data from the session. It is associated with the session, right? How do we get this? From the session we are creating a query and from the session we are getting it. So this data, when we are fetching from the database, it is associated with the session. You understand?
Okay.
It's not a transient object.
Okay. So if you're creating a new one.
Exactly. You understood it. When we're creating a new object, it's a transient. When I say just using a new operator, any object, it is just an object.
When it's
a transient object. So when we say when it is associated with a session, it is a persisted object. The exact underlying funda is when it is associated with a session. When it is associated with a session, it is a persisted object.
And how about detached?
When we say session.close, it will become a detached object.
Okay.
Session.close.
Okay.
Hello?
Yes. Folks, it's basically see, these associations are like, how these are related. So when we say cascade is equals to all, no matter what we do inverse or something, it affects the underlying instances also. Like, it affects the children also. Whatever the changes that we are trying to make, that gets affected as well. So in this scenario, we are fetching the data from the database. They are already associated with the session. The concept of transient object is when an object is never associated with the session. And when we say session.close, they become the detached objects.
So about the cascade one more time. It's like if we are updating something and if it's not following constraint, it won't work, right? Even if you're saying cascade.
Cascade is all about, right? When I insert a parent, do I need to insert the child also? When I'm making changes to the parent, see, this is not a kind of related with the what is it? This is not a kind of related with the session because we're saying whatever changes we are making, it's bound to change. Let's say I'm saying, here I'm going to say folks, when we do this, right, always you check that list is not null and the size is greater than 1 to just folks. So okay, what am I exactly doing? I'm not flushing the session. Flushing the session is basically when we get the data, whatever the changes that we make, when we flush, it goes and makes those changes in the database. Okay, so what am I doing here? I'm only updating the employee object. So that specific employee object that has to get changed in the database. And when I say session.flush, right? So whatever the changes, let's say we have some data that is retrieved from the database and we have the data in the session. Whatever the changes that we make to the data in the session, that gets pushed to the database. Folks, always when you're doing one-to-many or many-to-one relationships and you go to for practice, you can just do and just, but when you go to a real-time project, always associate with the foreign key constraints and unique constraints. If you're not doing that, it shows our experience basically. Sometimes we tend to be lazy doing it, but when you go to a real-time scenario, right? So always follow the constraints. It's very, very important to have the constraints for proper data integrity.
So, Neha, in this scenario, you created a new transaction object. So, was it like really necessary, or is it a, I don't know whether it's required or not, because auto commit is already set to true in .hvm files. Not
In that scenario, it's not needed. Usually, we don't put auto commit as equal to true. In a real time scenarios, right? I think I have. It's
Hibernate.
Yes. It's not advisable to do that.
Okay.
It's not advisable to have auto commit is equal to true. I'm just like, stressing on these things because you will understand how we do in a real time scenario. Basically, that's like I might have just had it and I haven't changed it, but auto commit should be false, and we handle. We will have to manage the transactions basically.
Okay, and like in these classes like employee.java, means you have written like while definition employee implement serializable. So do we need to implement serializable for them, or
if you're not like saving it, we don't need to implement the serializable.
Okay.
And folks, one more thing. Do all of you have time? One more thing. Folks, when I did this, right, when I made these changes, I'm inserting into the employee, right? Let's say here, when I go and check in the database, right, this first name now is going to be Neil Saha, right? And whatever the changes, let's say, I'm making to the appointment table, does this also, okay, let me, right? And I'm taking off the space between Neil and Saha, right? So, when I run this form, this is the value wherein we are updating in that, in that specific entity into the session. You understand that? Folks, you understand the difference between like when you're doing an auto commit or when you're doing a transaction commit?
No.
See, when we automatically commit it, right, whatever the changes that we make, it goes. There is nothing, when I make some changes, there is no point that I can roll back, right? When I say auto commit is equal to the facility, like, the functionality of rollback, we cannot achieve it, isn't it?
Okay, and without auto commit?
Yes. See, without auto commit, I can say this. See, I have made something. I can go and say this transaction dot rollback. So let's say usually when we do rollback, if there are some exception that happens in between these lines, right? Here, I say transaction dot rollback.
Yes.
I think text is not coming because I have declared it inside. So with auto commit, we cannot say that. But when I have auto commit Manoj, I cannot do that. You understand it? We real time we never say auto commit is equal to true. So whenever we get an exception, we roll back the transaction. Wherever we have started it roll back to this position, before this. Till here, what are the changes that you make in all this? They are reverted.
So it will fully revert back, right? If like I have a
let's say, in a specific line, after this transaction and before you commit the transaction, if there is an exception that occurs, Manoj, the changes goes back to here. The session, however it is, before this point, it roll back to that level, to that state.
Okay.
You understand that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, see, when we have auto commit, right, we cannot, there is no provision for, there is no rollback that we could do because we are automatically committing the transactions, right? Manoj, are you convinced?
Yeah. No, I was reading the lines and I was thinking how it should be working.
Yes, actually, see, in real time, in none of my projects, I mean, I have never said auto commit as true. In real time scenarios, we don't say that. Maybe it's just a property, we have changed it to true or false, but we never make auto commit as true. We say auto commit is false, and then we explicitly commit the transaction. Just see, I mean, in this specific scenario, when we have some errors, exception that occurs, right, we want to revert it, right? Because how can we proceed with the same transaction again? Let's say we are making a setup of an employee, right? Let's say we create an employee, we have to create a Gmail account or an Outlook account in the company, and there is some additional setup, right? So if an exception occurred, so we're not sure on where to proceed. In that scenario, we want to roll back, isn't it?
Yeah. So one more question. Then what's the difference between this? We're doing transaction here, and we were doing session flush before. So what we change here?
See, when we are not handling the transaction, right? How do we revert from the session? We cannot revert from the session, right? What are the changes within it, right?
Okay, so
there could be some session.saves that has happened instead of all that, right? When we say session.flush, what are the changes? It just puts back. For example, let's say in between I have a session.save. When I say transaction.rollback, it reverts back, right? Even though the session, if I execute this session.flush, right, all the changes get persisted. That is not what we want in that scenario, whatever we have discussed, right?
Okay, so with
basically, we try to get some data whenever user modifying it. We modify the data then and there. In that scenario, we want to finally flush the data so that we don't lose the changes. You understand?
Okay.
So it depends on the requirement, what we exactly want to use. Let's say we just get the user data. We just want to allow the user to modify it. In any case, the user changes, we want to persist it. We want to put back. So in that scenario, we put session.flush in the finally block, Manoj. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So how we are using the transactions of when you want is the session.flush. Why did I put finally block? Because if I want to persist the changes no matter what, whatever the changes, exception occur, even if exception occurs, what are the changes that I have that I could persist, I want to put it to the database. In that scenario, I put the session.flush in the finally block. Okay.
So I have one more question about previous discussion. If I have appointment, if I'm updating appointment, and I don't have that specific status code in a status table, so the transaction, the transaction in general form, it won't go ahead, right? It will follow the constraint of database.
If at all I have a constraint in my database, if I don't have, it will go and update it.
Okay. So
that is the reason in all scenarios, whenever we are doing some association, it is always insisted to specify the constraints.
Okay, so even if with the cascade also, it won't change anything, right? Like status appointment.
See, when we have cascade is equal to all, it inserts into the database. Okay, but still a constraint is always advisable. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, so with the
cascade, it inserts into the into the new table, into a second table also. But so if you try to set into a different ID, that's what happened, right? I'm not trying to I'm trying to put it in a different ID, right? It is not generated by it. So that it cannot insert it into that specific table, because that specific table allows to do an auto increment. We don't specify the ID column in that table, right?
No, just a second. If I'm inserting a new appointment in the appointment table, okay, and I don't have that with some new status ID. Now I don't have that.
I don't
ID
do that with status ID. If I just say description, it inserts into it, as if it auto generates and inserts it. When cascade is equal to, when we have cascade all.
Yeah, I mean, for that one, we should have the status code in the status also, right?
Yes.
What I'm trying to ask is, I'm creating a new appointment. I have a different status ID which is not present in a status table.
I should not have it. ID is always auto-generated, right? That is what I'm trying to say. ID in the table is auto-generated. You cannot have your own ID, right?
No, in appointment table. In appointment table, we have foreign key as a status ID, right? Now
yes.
I'm creating.
You should not specify the status ID. That is what I'm trying to say. Whenever you are inserting an appointment, you should not specify the status ID. The status ID. This is what you're saying. You want to give some value for it. We should not give value here. That is what I'm saying. I should not give. It's not correct to give the value here. So that's why if you just specify the description, and if you have the cascade, it inserts into the status table also. That is what has happened, right?
Okay. Yeah. So
you got it? There's no ID here. But when you say cascade all, right, first it inserts into the status table. It gets that specific ID, and that ID gets inserted into the appointment table. So if you want to exit others, you can exit.
So if the status description is active, it will insert the status ID in appointment table as 5?
It is auto-incremented. So whatever the ID that is present, it inserts.
Okay.
I mean, whatever the ID that is auto-incremented in the next value, it gets that value.
So I thought it's like a database constraint. That's what I was thinking about.
Not a database constraint.
No.
I mean, we have to have a database constraint, a foreign key constraint also, right?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think. Like, if I am inserting something in an appointment table with a different status, I'm thinking.
When you have a foreign key constraint, if you are inserting into a different value, it gives you error. It says it is violating the foreign key constraint.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking here. Yeah, that's what I'm asking. I mean, that's what happened in a database. Now I'm trying to ask in Hibernate. So what you're trying to say?
That's what the error it gives in Hibernate also. When you have a foreign key constraint in the database, if you try to get different value, it says foreign key constraint is failing.
Yeah, but you said if you specify cascade is equal to all, it will insert.
It inserts because it first inserts into the status table. It gets that status ID and then insert into this table.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to ask.
See, let's say if you run this, right? If you run this, first it inserts into the status table, and then with that status ID, it inserts into the appointment table.
No, you didn't set the ID here. If you set the ID here, status.set ID 67, then?
No, we don't do that.
Right? If I want to do that one, then?
I mean, that violates the purpose of that ID column, right? That ID is meant to be auto-implemented, right?
Okay.
Because when you have that ID, it tries to update the status. When you have a specific ID, right? So, see, we're not supposed to specify the 67 here.
Because it's auto-incremented. That's what we are trying to say.
Yes, it's auto-implemented. We don't put a value to it.
Yeah, but it's not auto-incremented. So what Hibernate will do? It's the same like a database, or it will insert.
If there is a constraint, see, if there is no constraint against the database, you can do an insert, right? As long as the insert is possible, you could do that.
No. What
But
I'm trying to ask is, in the status table, if ID is not auto-incremented, okay, and I'm trying to set ID in that one. Now we have a foreign key constraint here. So will it insert
yes,
67?
it inserts the child and it inserts the parent.
Okay, and with the database view, it won't insert it, right? Because we have foreign key constraint here.
See, first it inserts into the child and inserts into the parent if you say cascade is equal to all. If you don't have cascade is equal to all, it gives you an error.
Okay, yeah.
You understand?
That's what I was trying to ask. From the point of database and from the point of Hibernate.
I mean, you understood, or do you have any doubts?
No, I don't have now.
No, you could ask for it. I'm just saying, if you say cascade is equal to all, no matter what, if it can insert the child, it will insert the child.
Yeah,
if there is some database concern, if it's not able to insert it, it broke. Okay?
No, the database constraint we are talking here about just the auto increment. What
Yes.
I'm trying to say is, if you don't have auto increment, that means
you can insert. You can insert into it. If you don't have auto increment, you can very well insert into the database. If you have like cascade is equal to all, even though when you don't explicitly insert the child, if you save the parent, it saves the child also.
Yeah, that's what we're talking. My question was, if I'm saying about database, just a database. I have a database like MySQL. I have appointment table and a status table. Okay. Now in appointment table, I'm inserting a row with some different status ID which is not present in a status table.
If there is no auto increment, you could do that. Okay. If there is no auto increment constraint on it, you could insert a value in it. It is just like having an insert. Hibernate at the end doesn't insert into the table, and that's all.
Okay.
You could insert it.
Okay, yeah.
You could just try creating a table and doing also, you can do that. There is no concern. It is just like a field. Internally, Hibernate does an insert.
Yeah, I'm going to do that one.
See, the Hibernate, errors are basically when the Hibernate doesn't understand what to do, or when the Hibernate execution of queries fails. You understand?
Yeah.
I think we have an extended class today. Any other doubts? Anyone?
Hello?
Yes.
When you say inverse is true and inverse is false, you said something, two things you said, and I just want you to recollect. I just want you to repeat those things. I don't want you to show me, but you said something when inverse is true, there is one thing. When inverse is false, there is another thing.
Folks, I can explain you at a high level, and I could repeat the same thing in the next class because it's already extended. I can just say, see, when we say insert is equal to true with an association, right, that entity is holding the relationship. Okay. So when I say in this specific scenario, let's say, when I say inverse is equal to true, right, the appointment, it is holding the relationship. It is the relationship owner. Or let's say when I have an appointment here, and when I say inverse is equal to true, right, that specific entity is holding the relationship.
Okay.
So, if this is inverse is equal to false, the relationship owner is employee. When I say inverse is equal to true, here when I say inverse is equal to true, the relationship owner is appointment. When I say inverse is equal to false, employee becomes the relationship owner. So folks, you understand it better when you try these options against these tables, and before doing these associations, have the foreign key constraints, because you end up having the stale data. But whenever you want to practice and see, you can try without the foreign key constraints also, but always we have to have the foreign key confirmed in the database. Okay, folks. Good night, everyone, and let's meet tomorrow at the same 9 o'clock.
Hey, Neha.
Good night, folks.
Neha?
Yes, yes.
Yes, I sent some questions to you. Can you, if you get chance, can you tell me about it tomorrow?
What are the questions? I don't know. I think
I emailed you. It's JavaScript. If you can, why don't you look at it and you can get back to me tomorrow?
When did you send?
I just sent it. I sent it before. I think day before yesterday. I sent it just now before class started.
So many of our students have given testimonials on how our training programs are. You will find them on kudzu.com and on our website H2KInfosys.com. On our website H2KInfosys.com, you will also find more detailed information on who we are, the courses that we offer, what each course covers. Also, if you're interested in a demo program, please register on our homepage on the left-hand side. Just give us more information about yourself and we will send you a link for a demo class. The demo class is absolutely free. Experience our commitment by just attending an orientation workshop at no cost. Our team of faculty and advisors are here to guide you with the right information. If you still have more questions, please feel free to call us. Call us at 770-777-1269. This is a United States number. If you're calling from the UK, call us at 020-337-17615. You can also email us at training@h2kinfosys.com or h2kinfosys@gmail.com. Thank you for watching our videos. We wish you a great career in information technology.